So the Port Melbourne Sharks then coming out 1-0 victors in the big clash at Anderson Road. And that gives the Sharks a 15-point lead then at the top of the minor premiership. There's only 6 games remaining, so that's all but certainly in the bag for them. And a great second season in the Premier League for the Port Melbourne Sharks. And that boy Nick Soltis, 14 goals now. He's the leading goal scorer in the league in his first season there. And it's a promising future for him, Greg.
Yeah, terrific form by the rookie, young Williams. But I've got to tell you that yesterday's game was yesterday down at Port Melbourne. Very, very disappointing the second half. Stunk the place up. A bit of a slugfest between the two heavyweights. No one prepared to take chances. But the important thing is Port Melbourne continues to roll along. And the Sharks are headed towards the first undefeated season in the history of the Victorian Soccer Federation. Dates back to 1958, before the Beatles toured, that is, Paulie. And I've got to tell you that the last team in senior soccer in Victoria to actually go undefeated was a club by the name of Juventus. Or Juventus, as they say. Well, I don't know who says it. But currently, in their current guise as the Melbourne Zebras, the club, formerly Juventus, this was back in 1954, am I making sense? I will in a moment. The president of the Melbourne Zebras, formerly Juventus, is with us tonight, Peter Balassone. Welcome to the Soccer Show, Pete.
Good evening, Greg, Paul.
Peter's had a bit of a troubled time of recent weeks because, of course, the Zebras, along with the Parramatta Eagles and Heidelberg United, have been given the Royal Order of the Boot from the National Soccer League.
As you say, yes.
Well, I know. Well, don't stop now. So Peter Balassone's been one of the antsiest buggers on earth recently. Now, Pete, you're pretty angry about the situation. The supporters are up in arms, aren't they?
Yes. Well, I think we've had enough news in the last week or so, and we still believe that we should be in there, and we will be in there. We've got a meeting on Saturday with the NSL clubs and Sunday with the commissioners, and the order of the day has got to be that they've got to reverse the decision that they've made, and the decision they made is unconstitutional, and this is all what we're saying. We said this all along. The rules say that's minimum of 14 clubs, and that's all we're asking for. And
well, the new chairman of the National Soccer League, or the ASF, David Hill,
yes,
has said that the Constitution is not only an amateurish job, that the whole phraseology surrounding how clubs can come and go from the league is fairly ambiguous.
Well, that's not the way we see it, and
or your legal people, rather.
Yes, we play by certain rules, and they also got some rules. And I don't think you can go away from a constitution. It's like anything else. You've got a club, business, it's a constitution you've got to follow.
David Hill was given the go-ahead to make what he considered and what the new commissioners and the board considered were the correct decisions for the future of the National Soccer League. And they've told you that your club doesn't play a part in that. Why not accept the umpire's decision? I mean, you guys gave him the agenda to do that.
No, it's not just like that, because when he first came down to talk to the clubs, the setup was, or his promise was, that he was going to talk to the clubs, consult with the clubs before he made the decision, that he would help clubs along to a better future, whether it's promotion, marketing, administration. And the clubs, we voted him in unanimously as a block, the NSL clubs. And we expected some consultation before any decision is made. Now, there was no say at all, or no hint that the constitution, the club's numbers were going to change. Not this year anyway. All we asked is to keep the clubs to 14 now, and tell us what you want for next year, and we'll abide by it.
Peter, the NSL clubs are meeting this Saturday in Sydney.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you have the support of all the other NSL clubs in the league? Do you believe they'll stick with you on this?
Well, I think one thing they've got to realise is that we voted as a block, and if we don't stick together, we're going to have problems. Now, there could be some clubs, like the regional clubs, which they're safe, you can call it that, because they can't be thrown out or relegated because there's only one team in each city or town. And that's not good enough, because, I mean, they protect it. Now, our argument is you're throwing out some teams which are viable at the moment, I mean, you know, with the structure and players, and bringing in 2 teams which are virtually phantom teams at the moment. There's no saying that these teams are going to be better than what you have.
let's say that after the meetings this weekend, 12 teams is the final answer. Will you take legal action against the ASF?
I think the meeting on Sunday is not to change the constitution. It's just to say that the decision they made is wrong. Which the stakeholders will stick by the constitution and revert it back to 14 teams.
Peter, I've copped a bit of a bucketing in recent weeks because I want good folks at home. I'm true to myself. I won't go in for this, this parochialism, this Victorian parochialism. I'm very disappointed with the decision, but I'll put it to you, Peter, that the Melbourne Zebras, or Juventus as we used to know them, maybe there is a question mark about their ongoing viability. Now, I've done a quick study. Yeah. Now, of the 4 major competitions in the country, national competitions, AFL, Rugby League, Basketball and the National Soccer League, there are 63 teams. And of those 63 teams, guess which one ranks 63rd in terms of its drawing power? Which club is 45 years plus old and still doesn't have its own home ground?
Well, Greg, I've got to agree with you to a certain extent, but we are...
Well, you have to, because they're accurate figures, Peter.
Yeah, OK. Well, we're in the process of doing things and putting things in place to change this. Let's face it, my administration's been in there for 12 months, and we inherited problems, and which we all know of. So we are in a process now to make it right. We're talking to clubs, we're trying to merge, we are trying to do something about it because this club and the community, there's a big community here.
Absolutely.
And I believe that we are the only community which are non-political, and we're going to attract other fans.
Peter, can I ask you, you're talking about the merger situation now, and I wouldn't put this on, I've known Pete for years, good folks at home, he's a charming young fellow, he's got a lovely ring there, not too ostentatious, is it? Pete, you know, I've known you for a long time and you've only been in there for a short while, I'll grant you that. But you've got this situation now, there's this desperate urge to merge. It's a lovely bit of poetry, isn't it, young Paulie? Remember that, right? An urge to merge. Now, I know over the past decade there's been every chance for the Melbourne Zebras or Brunswick or whatever you want to call yourselves to merge. Why wasn't it done with some foresight years ago instead of now when the situation has reached a desperate point?
Well, I can't sort of, say anything on that because I wasn't there. The good intention at the moment is that if we want to develop the sport, we've got to get a strong club, a strong say Italian-backed club in the National League. And people are starting to realise that we cannot do it on our own, or any club can do it on our own without the support. Now, you say the urgency at the moment, we've been talking for the last 6 months, roughly. Right? Now it's just became a little bit more urgent in a way because, hey, it's not going to be any good if the National League club is not in there. We start from scratch again, and that's where the support is showing out now that the clubs really want to do something about it, and we want to do it. So I'd say that if we stay in National League from next week, which I think we will be, there'll be a full blast ahead.
All right, Peter, thank you for joining us on the soccer show, the inaugural soccer show on this Monday evening. We wish you good luck in your fight, your quest next weekend. Please stay with us. We're going to take a break with our sponsors, and we'll be back very soon.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Paul.